All right, we're recording.
Okay, today is October 20th, 2022. This is the meeting of the Webster Planning Board. I'm going to open the meeting by taking attendance. Maybe we go around the room. Paul King.
Susan Youngs.
Susan Youngs, Craig Fournier.
Arlo Herrick.
Adam Mock.
We're all here, so we have a quorum. So I guess we'll go on to the item 4, impact fee appeal of Nancy Rosenbaum. We did meet with the town lawyer this week, and he was of the opinion that that because although there was no time limit on
That section.
he felt that because it didn't meet the strict requirements of dimensions and placement, in other words, it wasn't built on the old foundation.
No, well, because if you look at the tax paper, they have it all listed as crawl space. And there's only a 10 by 10 stoned area that was filled in with, people had cut stuff and stuff like that. So it's set back from that stone area.
Yeah.
Size-wise, it's the same size because the tax for Daniel Weed was crawl space also counted, and it's not counted in my tax bill. So the size is the same. It's 3 bedrooms.
He also said that because there was not an impact fee in effect when the house burned, that anything that happens after that, once the impact fee is in force, you have to abide by it.
So the impact fee was put in an
Early 2000s, I think, somewhere.
yeah, something when you did your capital improvement plan. It was adopted in '05. Impact fee was adopted in '05, which was noted in your Webster capital improvement program that you wrote in for 2020 to 2025, and then the next one was 2022 to 2027. That's when it was noted, so it was put in '05. And it burned in March of '09.
Right, but now,
Right, but the original house did not pay the impact
Did not
fee.
pay the impact.
Yeah.
So when the house burned, it went back to square zero, and the new use paid the impact fee.
But that does not state that anywhere in that impact fee.
Any new law, though, that comes into effect has to apply to every property.
Okay, but it burnt
well,
in
But it
'09.
did the house burn by itself, or did it get set on fire? It got torn down, basically, right? And then it caught on fire in the dumpster.
I called Dan Weed.
Yeah,
and
I
asked
wish
him-
Emmett was here, because Emmett he knew.
I talked to Emmett,
Yeah, well,
and he said that it was construction debris, or just whatever.
from the house.
That, he said it wasn't standing, when he got there, it was a firefighter.
Yeah.
Neighbor next door said the house was still standing. Another neighbor said, I think it was standing, so at which point I called Daniel Weed. I said, I live at 1539 Battle Street.
Yeah.
I have a question. I said, somebody said the house was down when the debris caught, and another person said that the house was up when the debris caught. And he said, well, 50-50. I said, what do you mean by 50-50? He says, well, I was taking it down, but the house was still standing when it caught.
So are there any other comments? Anybody else want to say anything?
Well, that and the fact that it was, it's been 14, was it been
09.
14 years?
'09.
Yeah, so,
2009, so that's when I bought in 20, so 11 years.
yeah.
But,
Where did the 14 years come into place
because they were saying it was
the other
07.
day? Do you
It's
have
the-
that on your record?
The,
I would have to go back to the property card,
the,
because I went by the date that it said it burned on the property card.
Okay, so what was that date?
Give me 1 second, I'll pull it up.
Oh, 09.
but, I mean, the ordinance doesn't say anything about time.
Right.
Which you correctly point out, so whether it was 50 years or 3 years, it doesn't make a difference.
But it would make a difference if they were tearing the house down versus it caught on fire by natural, something bad. That would be, I would think, a little bit of difference. But,
Well,
you
I
know,
think, for me, just speaking personally, okay, the dimensions of your house do not match the dimensions of the other house, and it was not built on the original foundation. And the impact fee was not ever paid.
So if it had burnt and if it had burnt and he had rebuilt, would he have had to pay an impact fee at that point?
If it had burnt and people had already paid the impact fee, yes, you could do it that way. But nobody has ever paid an impact fee on that property.
Okay, but if it burnt, the impact fee came in effect in 05, it burnt in 09, if he had rebuilt, would he have had paid an impact fee?
I think so.
Yeah, if he hadn't paid it, he would have had to pay.
But that's because you're calling it new construction?
Doesn't really matter, I
It
don't think.
does with the ordinance.
Well, yeah, I'm just going by what the attorney said.
I know.
He basically said there wasn't a valid argument for avoiding paying the impact fee.
And then the fact that it changed hands
3 times.
3 times.
I mean, if you think about how many places in Webster is there a cellar hole and something burned? And if somebody wanted to build on that spot, I mean, can you imagine the cost, the loss of income from impact fees?
And I understand that, but should that put a different spin on what I'm asking now?
Again, I'm judging on the application that's in front of us right now.
Any other comments? Does somebody want to make a motion?
Now, also, I talked to Tom Bay, because according to the lawyer's letter last time, something about the building code inspector or the building inspector, should have been, well, I asked Tom about what he knew about the impact fee, and he said, I don't know anything about it, and I also don't deal with the money. So, he had no idea in 2021 anything
Yeah.
about the impact fee
Yeah,
also.
that sounds right. Is there any more comments? Have a motion here?
Nobody ever wants to make.
I'm
a
just trying to cipher this out. I mean, I wish Emmett, could tell us, because did the guy tear this place down, is what I wanna know. Did the guy tear the house down and it caught on, from what I gathered, I thought he was tearing the house down, caught on fire while he was headed to the Salisbury store.
That's what I heard.
Okay, so he's tearing the place down. Was he gonna rebuild?
I didn't ask him that.
Okay, so this is where I'm having the problem. If he's tearing this house down, which, and was it Scotty that did it, the owner? Do you know who it
No, it was
was?
Dan Weed.
Okay, I don't know this Dan Reed, so he must have bought it off from Scotty, is that correct?
Yes, my
Okay.
understanding.
Okay, and he was tearing the house down,
He was gonna tear it down,
yep,
but he said he said 50-50 when I asked. He said there was debris around the house, but the house was still standing. And I said, okay, I didn't tell him why I was
Yeah.
calling.
Who did you buy it from, Dan Reed?
No,
Okay, so there's where I'm gonna, you did not buy it from Dan Reed, that owned the house.
No,
that-
there was two other people
Oh,
between me and him.
Okay, so I'm good. That's what I basically wanted to hear.
So,
Is how many times that piece of land has changed hands with no house standing there.
okay,
You bought it, you bought the piece of land, raw land, no house, correct?
there was no house
No
on it.
house.
Would I call it raw? No.
Well-
There's plantings, there was rhubarb patches,
Well,
blueberries.
yeah, I
You
get,
know, I mean,
I get
it's
all,
not-
I get all of that, and, I have a piece of land just like it. I
Mm-hmm.
got power going to mine with a well, a septic, all there. But I would expect that if I was to build a new house, I wouldn't be able to do that because the landowner that I bought it from tore it down.
But it didn't burn.
It did not burn, but they tore it down. Well, it probably did burn. They did burn some because there's stuff, ashes there. So something burned.
So what you're saying is.
I'm saying that-
Yeah, we gotta be careful in no disrespect,
Right, yeah.
but it would be one thing if that house was still standing.
Standing,
Right.
And
correct.
let's say you added on or something,
Well-
and then there's no impact fee when you add on or change the actual stamp of
Well, there
the.
could be an impact if you were adding bedrooms.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
But I think I get where he's standing, I think we're
It's
we could
changed.
get the impact fees there for whoever decided to put the impact fee in place, but because any town you go to, there's houses that have been torn down and foundations left. I mean, around my house, there's foundations left.
Yeah.
So does that mean that if I was to say to my kid, you can build on that foundation, you don't get an impact fee?
Well, the way.
Right? Am I-
the-
no?
Well, the way the ordinance is written, you have to build on the same foot, it has to be
Yeah.
same dimensions.
Um,
And the fact that it is, I guess it's, it's like I got a foundation where that house was sitting, that piece of land that I got, there's no if, ands, about it, it was there. But the way I look at this is, in this piece of land went from Scotty to this Dan Reed, and that guy was in the midst of tearing that house down, correct? And it caught on fire while he was at the Salisbury store or wherever he was, that caught on fire, and it finished it off. But he got it all cleaned up or whatever, okay? He turned around, sold it to Marlo. Marlo sold it to you, and then you sold it to,
Me.
right.
Somebody had also got a building permit in between, I don't know.
Yeah, but
which.
they never exercised it,
No,
correct?
no, right.
Okay, so that's the way I would see that right today out of my eyes. That's just a piece of land that you could go and grow your rhubarb, do what you need to do.
Any other
Right.
comments?
Is that correct? It's a raw piece of land. Building law.
Would you care to make a motion here?
I make a motion that she would take and keep the impact fee as it has stood. Is
As it
that,
has been assessed.
So we're denying the appeal?
I guess that's what we'll call it.
So I'm gonna make a suggestion,
Yep.
that you fix this impact fee then.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go with you on that too.
You know.
Well, if it's not clearly wrote in there so people can understand it, then it needs to be fixed.
Excuse me, I appreciate
I'm
your
sorry.
comments, but we're in the middle of a vote here.
Oh, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
Do we have a second on the motion? All in favor of his motion to deny the request for appeal of the impact fee?
Aye.
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 But you're right.
It has to
Yeah.
be, it says new development should not include, okay? So at the end of that, you should,
Yeah,
if a house burns, then you gotta give them 4 years to replace it.
Right, we talked.
Not 2
Yeah,
years,
we
like,
talked
We
about
talked about that,
Yeah. Okay.
making that as part of the ordinance.
Yeah.
and how many people the land has been gone through.
Yeah,
Because it also doesn't state that in here either.
right, no, you are correct, and we'll go with that,
Yeah.
yeah. You
Now,
may
we-
be able to help us
That's
out,
That's probably not the only ordinance we have in town that needs some work.
yeah.
Do you want me to go through them all?
Yeah,
Well, you already got through the wetlands.
if you wanna come on, let's do
on
it.
up.
We'll
No,
take
come
it,
on.
'cause, we could stand that,
It's
but,
Nope, nope, nope.
It's not that bad, man.
no, we could add an extra.
It's only occasionally bad.
And you're,
Yeah.
on top of, your arguments
research
were
is good.
fantastic.
Yeah, your arguments.
You made it very hard to do that vote, I think, in a sense.
Yep.
Well, apparently not hard enough.
No,
Well,
it
so
was.
you were close.
It was, because when we talked to the lawyer, you know, he told us, and then when you stop and really think about it, it's the fact that it's changed hands. Nobody's filed a building permit.
Oh, yes,
you know.
they did.
Well,
I
but they
just-
didn't follow through with
All
it.
right,
We're done.
let's move on.
One
Yeah.
quick question. So when we do recommend some changes in this ordinance, it has to go to town meeting, yes?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So how does that happen?
And that's a
Well,
whole
oh,
other
okay.
thing
Yeah,
about.
Craig-
Craig
I
wants
can
to
go
move
over
on.
those
Well,
ones.
just to answer your question quickly, we would have to have a public hearing, and then the same thing would have to go before the board.
Mhm.
But my feeling is that if we're gonna make some changes, one change like that is not worth it. That we should look at things
Should
and,
make a whole
Make
bunch,
a
a
list
list of all the
of-
things
yeah,
that ought to be.
things that
Agreed.
ought to be changed.
Yeah, we got a few others, right? That we talked about.
That's why it's
Okay,
on.
so moving on, we have impact fee request from Benjamin Faxon.
I don't know if I'm requesting it, but I gotta pay. Yeah. Where do we start?
Well, do we have anything written on this?
So I can explain a little bit. So he bought a cabin, a seasonal cabin, and now he's upgraded the square footage to meet our zoning requirement to be a full-time residence. So he wants to switch it from a seasonal camp to a full-time residence. So now he has to pay the impact fee. I believe you were requesting a payment plan for the impact fee instead of paying it all at
I don't
once.
see why not, if there's no interest, why not go with payment plan?
Is this on Mutton Road?
No, this is, it's the little red camp, you can't even see it across the street from the campground, like, on Battle
Oh,
Street.
yeah.
Yeah, that-
I noticed that some work had been done there, that it was being,
Yeah, so, I did. So, kind of the reason we're going into this is, back in the early spring, we got a call, my in-laws, my father-in-law was given 3 months to live, and so they wanted to be closer to the kids so he could spend his time. So he passed away, unfortunately, and now my mother-in-law is there. You know, I don't want to boot her out because, you know, it's a seasonal home and, you know, it's got the square footage, it's got a well, it's got septic, it's got heating, it was insulated when I bought it. The Delicatas, who I bought it from, when he built it, his initial plan was to retire there, and I guess he passed away, you know, couldn't do that. So, it's more or less a year-round home.
Yeah.
It was just which makes sense, he wanted it taxed seasonally, because he didn't live there, so.
What's the square footage of your house?
809, it's
a
just
small house,
over.
Small house.
It is a small house, but,
And it's none of my business, but do you live alone?
no, so I.
You don't
live-
have to answer that.
I don't live there, my mother-in-law's living
Oh,
there.
his mother-in-law.
Because, yeah, they had to come from Florida. So I was planning on getting this done, just not so soon, but my father-in-law passed, so now my mother-in-law's there.
So you're objecting to the impact fee?
I am not objecting, I will pay.
He just wants to get on a payment plan.
I want it legally year-round, you know, as a year-round home.
Well, we've done payment plans in the
We've
past.
done them before. This board probably has not done
Yeah,
one, but we have in the past. I'm not sure if this board has or not, but usually it's for a year, monthly payments. If you skip a month, then you owe the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I mean,
believe there's
it's,
a standard letter out there that we
Yeah.
get sent out.
Is that,
no, it's
Is
fine.
that
I mean,
agreeable
if we
to
need it
you?
all at once, that's fine, I can do it, but I said, well, geez, if
But a
there's no
monthly-
interest, why not do
It
payments,
does make it
you
a
know?
little easier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we allow a one-year payment plan
Yeah.
according to the standard letter that's been used in the past.
Yep, I'll second that.
okay, any discussion on the matter? All in favor? Say
Aye.
aye.
Yep,
4-0.
Okay,
very good, thank you.
Yeah,
that was pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
Well, other than paying fines.
If I'm giving them money, they like that, so.
I wish it was us that got the money.
I know, so.
Thank you.
I guess we'll talk about that.
Yeah, you can come in and then I'll send you a letter, or you can come in and pick up the letter.
So the next thing we
Just
should
go.
talk about, that land that you got well and power on. Let's make a deal.
No, no,
I'll put a
it's,
house on it.
No, when that goes, it's gonna be 3 houses.
Oh, well, all right, fair enough.
Ah,
All right, thanks, guys.
When they run me out of town, they'll have to get a new school bus.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
so what's next?
okay, future discussion of junkyard ordinance.
Yeah, this one's
Uh,
one.
You
I-
wanna
I
set the
can-
stage for this?
So, we've been receiving complaints
Huh?
about junkyard ordinance through town since I've gotten here. And one of the biggest hiccups for us being able to do anything about these junkyard ordinance is the fact that we don't have one in our town zoning code. And I did put in a case from the New Hampshire courts that basically said, because the town hadn't adopted a junkyard ordinance, they still won the case for it. However, they would not award any attorney fees to the town, so the town was all the money that they spent trying to do this enforcement action. And I don't wanna put the town of Webster in that situation. So ideally, we'd wanna adopt something through the town, at the bare minimum, just adopting the definition of a junkyard in our ordinance. So hopefully this wouldn't happen to us if we did go after any of the junkyards.
Yeah.
So, let me add a few comments. The state regulations which are referenced in some of this material, there's a section in here about junkyards. And it mostly talks about commercial junkyards, that they have to get a license. It devolves to the town to license it and enforce the conditions of that permit. But it doesn't talk much about, where is it? Hang on a second.
Oh, yeah, I remember reading through this before when we were talking.
Yeah, they don't talk much about,
I brought it up before.
I guess it's,
While you're looking for it, I somewhere saw a sign or an ad for the place on,
Yeah, that's I think somebody else put that up there because I think the person who owned the property would know how to spell their own last name.
oh,
Yeah, that's just a feud. That sign was something that,
There's a whole feud going on
whole
up there over
feud,
that
that
one.
didn't
Oh,
have anything to do with it.
there was a
No,
thing
where is
about
it? Where is it?
junkyards.
Right on, what is it
the
called?
red house on, what,
Street,
Long
yeah.
Street?
Birds.
Burt's, you know, where the nice big old Colonial that's
yeah,
got
it's
all this
got
stuff
trucks all over
now.
the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to this local ordinance. If we currently don't have any local ordinance on junkyards, and they're very difficult to write, because you have to talk about what are the number of vehicles you want there, what's the square footage, do you have, it has to be fairly tightly written. And back in, Russ included in the package, back in 2007, there was a warrant article regarding junkyard
Well,
ordinance.
that one was for the building code. I don't think we've ever adopted anything for
But
junkyards.
that went down in defeat in 2007.
Right, that went down in defeat, 'cause that's another thing that I've been receiving a lot of comments about, was people who want to adopt a building code because they want to stop doing those damn property inventories. But that's a different story.
That's a different issue. What this would be is modification to the zoning ordinance.
Right.
where, you know, we're zoned pretty much one zone throughout town. But what it would do is say, within that zone, these are the requirements that you cannot do so many things, something like that.
Yeah.
So I guess my question to everybody on the board here is that something we want to go down that route?
I mean, without an ordinance, we have no means of enforcing an eyesore. I mean, if somebody has, you know, like,
Well, we can go to court.
yeah, and spend all that money.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
would have to spend all the money with getting none of that.
And if we were to adopt the state rules,
Well, it's basically what they're asking for, is like, if you read the decision, it seemed like the town didn't define what a junkyard was in their ordinance.
so people
when-
like didn't know. in a sense.
And the definition they did have in there was different from the state law. So basically, the court said, well, this doesn't qualify as a junkyard under your ordinance, so you're stuck with the bag. You just lose all that money going after this. But since it does qualify for the state one, then technically they're not allowed. The person still has to end it, but, you know, the town,
Had to pay the legal fees.
Well,
Well,
pay the
the
legal
town had
fees.
to pay the fee, but the guy had to pay a fine
Yeah.
and he had to
Clean it up.
clean it up. I
Because
mean,
my
the town got sort of what they wanted, it cost them a little bit of money, but.
No. Right, but I'm trying to avoid us having to cost a little bit money. I think, you know, if we win, we should get our attorney fees back. And
Yeah.
that's kind of like the
I-
big concern, because those things can be very expensive. I think those who've been around for the Camille junkyard lawsuit would understand how expensive that was.
Oh,
How come he won in that suit? Obviously, but
Well-
I mean, he has kept adding.
Didn't he
adding,
claim
adding.
that all of it was
Agriculture.
necessary for his agricultural use?
Correct.
Yeah, well,
You're talking about the one up in Lincoln?
No,
No.
we're talking the one out.
Warner, Webster,
On
town
1-
line
103,
over,
127.
Oh,
headed on
Gamble, Gamble's
103.
property,
Yeah,
Yeah, I talked to Sue Roth about that today, and she said she didn't know why it went, that they won in court.
Well, I
don't
think
know
there's a
why.
few reasons.
I've read the lawsuit. So
Yeah.
I read the whole thing.
And so what, so.
Basically exactly what she said, because it was agricultural use that he
But
could.
wasn't
and you
there
have
some
to
other
wonder why,
fun stuff
you know,
too? in there?
10
Wasn't-
old vans are agricultural.
And there were some limitations placed on him that he can only have so much stuff out front. And then he has to put certain stuff away in the winter. I don't know if that's being followed or not.
Well, it's not.
Sure,
You
doesn't look
can't
like
even
it.
get by there if he's parked in the road with a big truck. Two big trucks wouldn't be able to meet, two tractor trailers would crash there, almost. One's gonna have to stop if he's in the road.
Right.
Well,
But kind of going along with that, even, I
Well,
thought
basically-
he won for other reasons, so do you mean we have
No, it's okay.
something we could actually do about that?
So
I am
basically,
not sure. That would be a question for the attorney.
oh,
And I think that would be something that
'Cause-
you'd have to talk to the other surrounding towns because they were involved.
Yeah, all I can
basically,
say
he's
is,
not following the right of way from the state, because he's
No.
infringing on the state right of way.
Absolutely.
the whole thing is interesting, so,
And
Was that nice?
now,
Well, it has a legal file like this, but
now did
the
the town of Warner just barely take him back to court and win? Just recently, within the
I
last?
don't know if they
You
won.
know,
I know
I-
they did take him to court.
Yeah, and I think that, I heard that they won their suit this time around, taking him
Ah.
back to court, and we should probably see if that's real or not,
agreed.
right?
I have the perfect guy to ask on that one. His name is Tom Bay.
Only
And
because
so-
I feel like whenever you do anything, right, just like how we just decided is precedents, every time you do any kind of,
Well, I found a fun thing at the legal conference. The boards here, we don't set precedent. That's the Supreme Court that sets that.
oh, really?
You just measure everything on the
It's
merit. You
merit.
should try to be consistent,
Right.
but it's the
Oh,
merit of
that
every
makes-
case in
okay.
front of you.
You know what I mean, you don't wanna let him keep,
Yeah,
and then, but go after this dude, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
so-
being
but-
consistent. We don't
but-
set
but,
precedent.
there's
Hey, go
one,
get go.
there's a town of Lincoln sued this guy, Joseph Chenard, who had 4 lots in the town of Lincoln, and he had junk, so they took him to court. And the defendant argues that because the definition of RSA 236-112 refers to junkyard as a business, his property does not qualify, as he was only storing personal property and will not engage in the sale or transfer of any of the junk. The court disagreed, stating that RSA 236-112 plainly states that a junkyard is defined not just by the place of selling junk, but also storing and keeping junk. The court further defined the word business to conclude that it can encompass junkyards not operated as a commercial business.
See that over there though, I mean, he may have some goats and some sheep and all that stuff, but it's like, he's got a lot of junk. And there's trucks, I mean, you know, if you got farm trucks, you ought to have at least an Aggie plate on them. And then, you know, this, well, he ran the restaurant, you got all the restaurant
Yep.
stuff there. And that definitely has nothing to do with ag at all, nothing. So I think they should shut him down, taking
Well, the question is,
time.
do you want town of Webster to
Bring
get
it on.
involved in this?
Bring it on. That's what I say. Don't be
Are
scared.
you gonna,
Bring it on.
are you gonna finance this one or what?
If I had to.
It's not
I
afraid.
pay enough in taxes that they probably would be a good start on it, right?
So,
This,
I know that.
This RSA 236:112, that's a municipal understanding of what we're talking about?
Is that the definition of a junkyard?
Yes.
Yeah. So if
Yeah.
that's
So that would be a
Which
good place
one
for us
is
to
it,
start.
Paul?
Or do we have to incorporate that with something else?
I think
Well,
we need
you
to
can-
at least incorporate that into our zoning ordinance as
You-
part of our regular definition.
Yeah, exactly, you can
And that
reference,
would give us a start.
you can
That would give
reference
us a
this
start.
stuff.
Okay.
Um,
Because I think that was the primary thing the court was going on, because junkyards aren't permitted in the town of Webster, because it's not a part of our zoning ordinance. And the
Yeah, I
way our
think
zoning
I'll-
ordinance is, I think it's the opposite of what I think it is. I think, I wanna say it's prohibitory, but I think it's the opposite of that, even though it means what you think that would mean. But basically, if it's not allowed, and it's not stated that it's allowed in the ordinance, then it's assumed it's not allowed.
Well, they have a bunch of definitions. There's one is machinery junkyard, means any yard or field used as a place of storage in which there is displayed to the public view junk machinery or scrap metal that occupies an area of 500 square feet.
Definition of junk, though.
The junk.
Well, so whether it's gonna be a junkyard or a chunky yard. I mean, that's
Yeah, no,
a
that-
grab-all.
So, if we pass this, does it have to go in front of the town?
It would,
Yes.
we'd have to hold a public hearing. And that's why
Yes.
Craig was saying we'd wanna have more than one thing we were gonna talk about, if we're gonna follow
We're not gonna
any
have
of
the
it.
town gonna fight.
So if we wanted to say, do the change that Nancy and that, do this definition change, the problem is if we do them all together, everybody votes down, doesn't like one.
Well, they're
votes
different
down.
items.
Right.
They would be different
Well,
items.
that
different
one, that
warrants.
one's got a better chance of passing because a lot of people are already fed up with junkyards, so that's got a
Correct.
better
Yeah.
chance of passing.
Yeah.
It depends on how it's written, I mean.
it's a scary
you know,
move.
one
It is a
person-
scary
Don't come
thing.
out behind my barn with
Yeah,
chemical
no,
stuff.
and the thing of it is, I mean, it's like, you can't see my yard down back, but, I mean, I have farm equipment that, is sitting there, I have some broken stuff that I pull parts off, so I wouldn't really,
Isn't there something about visible to the public?
Yeah, visible to the public. That's the, and neighbors, you know. You don't have neighbors very close.
oh, no, I do. I got them. They turn me in
They turn
DES
you-
the whole 9 yards.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just fun.
You got talking dogs too?
That's why I said if I ever wanted to buy property, ideally I would not be able to see my neighbor miles
That's
away.
coming, that's coming too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Noise ordinance, I bet that's coming too.
So I guess, I mean, if we're,
After the camping
let me
shop,
lay
maybe.
out, if we are, as a group, are interested in pursuing this, I think what we should do is look at some other towns and see what they have.
That's what I figured the next step.
And,
Yeah, agreed.
So I would urge individually, just go look at what some other towns have done.
I've already pulled some samples on my computer. I'm prepared.
Good.
That I can send you.
Send
So
it-
send
to
it
us,
to us.
please.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we'll get, the next meeting, we'll have another discussion about this.
Yeah.
Whether we want to do anything or nothing, or what we want
Right.
to do with this.
I feel like we do have a few things in town that.
Need to be fixed.
They, you know what I mean, because I'm fortunate right now where we live, that I don't have to do that, but I can't imagine buying your house and then next to this beautiful two-story
Colonial,
colonial,
yeah.
and now it's like a, oh my.
Yeah, yeah.
There it is. It's a lot, it's a lot. It's,
Yeah, no, nobody, I mean, it's like, you know, my yard, I keep it as clean as I possibly can.
Yeah.
But I've got trucks and, you know, firewood, all kinds of whatever.
We just
But
wanna
I've
be-
run a business there since
That's right.
1980.
That's right. We just
Two.
wanna be careful that we don't
Well-
prohibit people so bad that
Right.
that we become one of
Yeah.
those, but we also wanna
Like
be
you can't
thinking
paint your
about.
house one color because it doesn't agree with what the neighbors
Yeah,
want.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's if you're in an HOA.
Yes. So if we had several things we wanted to make revisions to, we could probably hold one public hearing
And go
and
over-
divide it, but when it came to town meeting, it, as you said, it could be
Would be
separate
separate
items.
warrants.
So that we don't have to vote the package,
Right.
because you're right, some
No,
of
I
them are
agree
gonna
with
pass
Paul
more
on that,
easily.
100%. You don't, I
Yeah.
feel like we're, you know, in Washington or something, and just throwing something on a bill.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not right either.
Yeah, we'd have to figure it out so it doesn't hurt, you know, there's some people that got 4 or 5 cars in their yard. But that's a little bit different than Camille's over there.
Oh,
You know,
that's-
we're talking a
exactly.
whole different
Oh, yeah.
ball of wax, you know, it's like you
I mean, up
can't-
on my road, there's a guy who does, I think it's Volkswagen stuff.
Yeah,
There must be 15 cars.
Did you see the pictures from the one up the road on Battle Street? And they were you on the board for that one? Where you can't see it from the road, but you go up there, it's just piles and piles of tires.
Where
Broken
is
down
this?
cars and campers.
Oh,
where was that?
That was up on Battle Street. I forget the name of the person,
Did-
but
Is it still there?
probably. I think they're in the process of doing, the person who owns the lots in the process of doing something, because it's a renter, but,
Is this
Oh, yeah.
on the way up the hill?
yeah.
Because I think I looked at aerials once, I wanted to see, and I thought, wait, what is that?
Yeah, but you can't see it on the road.
Make a comment?
Yeah.
I think we need to be a little bit more careful about naming names.
Specific.
That's why I'm not
Specific?
naming names, Paul.
No, no. No.
did we name names?
I didn't. I don't think.
To put them in there.
Oh,
Oh.
no, sorry.
That's your
Yeah.
fault.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's, so you know where I'm
True.
talking. I'm not afraid. He wants to come after me.
So we're in favor of looking further into this one?
Yes.
Yeah.
So do you think the zoning board should have something to do with us too?
Well, the
Well,
zoning, oh, I was gonna,
The planning board is charged with creating the zoning ordinances. The zoning board of adjustment isn't charged with enforcing the zoning ordinance. They're not in charge of making the ordinance.
well, they're the, think of it like whenever you make a decision, if somebody doesn't like your decision, you go to the zoning board, not the Supreme Court. So when you sue, internally you say, I don't like what the select board did, I don't like what the planning board did,
Yeah, oh, I've
I'm
been.
gonna go to the zoning board, yeah, you've been there.
Yeah,
I've seen your
subdivisions.
cases and all
Yeah,
that
yeah,
stuff.
no, I
Seen
have,
it.
it's,
But that's basically, anytime we
Yeah.
make a decision, the person always has the right within 30 days to go to the zoning board
Yeah.
and say, I don't like it.
so, but do you think that if we combined it together, so it would be a, you know, we could have some different opinions also?
We can invite
Yeah,
members
well,
to come.
I'm asking each of you individually to take a look at this stuff and come up with some ideas, and we can talk
Yeah,
about it.
well, that's just one I was thinking that would,
I mean,
thought.
there's nothing written in stone here. This is
Right.
open for discussion.
yeah,
Whether we even want to go down this route, you know.
right, I get that too, you know, it's, taken to it's some sort of a degree, something
Yeah,
has to happen, but it doesn't have to be a big blown out. You know what I'm saying? You don't take all their rights away, but something on that case on 103, that's, you got a lot of safety issues, you got health issues there with it.
Well,
And then you
those-
got the animals or.
Well, those issues should all be addressed in any kind of ordinance.
Yeah.
You know, right away,
Yeah.
safety,
Absolutely.
health.
Yeah, the animal welfare over there, definitely something needs to shake out of that. Even this, somebody, you know, nothing more than that, that has to happen. It's just a shame to see what you see.
Okay, so next month, we will discuss this further.
And you're gonna, you can send us some of what other towns are doing, you'll just email that to us?
Yep.
Great, thank you. All right, item 7, code enforcement. What's that about?
Well, don't we have the building code still to talk about?
Yeah, we talked about that at the meeting, but.
oh, with the attorney?
With the attorney, but I think we should talk about it in open session.
No, I meant building code as in adopting the state's building code. That's why that building code was there. So having the town adopt the state's building code. So for example, we say the town of Webster goes by the state's building code and we've adopted it.
All right.
Kinda like we're talking about the junkyard, same thing, right?
Right,
Well,
we're adopting their
the-
rules, and that way if we adopt the state, so if the state changes it, ours updates when the state updates.
Oh, that's nice.
That's
Yeah,
kind of
but
what I was
but
thinking.
the state only talks about really, I mean, they have some definitions in there, but they're not very, in terms, I'm talking about junkyards.
Yeah, yeah.
They're not very specific, and they're talking about commercial junkyards. They don't talk about junky yards.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about the entire building code for how to build decks, houses, sheds,
All right,
because they tried to adopt that in 2007, and I've had people ask, you know, they complain about the inventories, they don't want to fill those out, and the main way you get away from the inventories is you adopt the building code, and that way, instead of doing inventories, people apply for permits at the town office to build a shed or a deck, and then that goes. This is why I'm thinking this is gonna be a
Yeah,
dicey.
any comments?
Well, you said it's because people, every year you get the thing that says, have you made any changes on your
Right.
property? And you have to say exactly what it is and all of that?
Yep, correct, and people hate filling those things out.
Well, that's, yeah. I fill out a lot of them too, well, to be, you know. good
And you're
stuff.
worried, you just don't want all the hassle of having to get permits.
I don't wanna have to have, yes, correct. To take a deck off your house, you know, and
Well,
put it back on and.
you can limit what the permits are, you can limit it to what the town has already. That we just do building houses for new houses, and then there would be no permits for like accessory structures or decks. That's within your purview to do that.
That's what I'm going with.
I'm just saying.
No more rules.
No more rules, but you get to decide.
So, any other comments about adopting the state building regs?
So when if we were to adopt the state building regs, then we,
Then we go to town meeting and all that.
but then we curve what we want to do or don't wanna do? Is
So,
that what you were
for
just saying?
example, she gave the ordinance that they did last time, and there would be no permits required for anything that was smaller in size than 100 square feet.
That's 10 by 10.
Yeah. But you can adjust
That's
that.
that's an outhouse.
But yes, we could change
large
Where we
that
live
to
when we
like
get in
10.
trouble, right, Craig?
Right, you could change that dimension, make it
My kitchen's
larger or
not much bigger
smaller.
than that.
I didn't expect this one to go well, but it's been asked, so I'm bringing it up.
So, I mean, do we want to change the state ordinance or add to the state ordinance?
We're not adding, we're just
We probably
adopting
wanna
it.
subtract.
Yeah, but you can make it so that
We-
we don't have, permits aren't required for X, Y, Z. And it would be a whole thing like it was last time, I'd have to look into the details. But basically, they wrote out, we're gonna adopt the provisions of the state ordinance, these are the things we're gonna require permits for. And then the town office would be the one issuing the permits.
So if you're gonna put up a garage 60 by 100, you gonna make me get a permit?
I don't know. What
You
are
don't
gonna
have
put
to
in the
right today.
ordinance?
But if you put it in the ordinance, then you'd have to get a permit, then you'd have to have people checking it and this and that, and you know what? I'm not into it.
All right.
So wait, you have to put, you can put up a 60 by 100 feet garage with no permit.
Right.
Correct. Town of Webster, no permits required.
As long as you keep it in your lines of your, you know, your boundary lines and
50 feet
everything, your
off the
setbacks and all that, you can go for it. And
But-
do it.
What do we actually require building permits for?
New construction of family homes and driveways.
Yeah, our driveway permits are
Oh,
more
and-
difficult than a house permit.
And,
That
well,
mine's
we
still
also
weird,
have
but-
Doesn't
permitting
have to be.
required if it's in a floodplain. That's our other permit.
Yeah,
Anything, as we talked to them about, so.
yeah.
And I have been enforcing that if they're paying attention, wherever they are.
Say that again? Say that, what?
The New Hampshire DES wants me to do more and make sure that that is being followed, and I have been. Because it wasn't previously, because I didn't know it existed. And now when everybody asks me if there was a permit required, I check the flood maps and see what their lot is
Oh,
on the
okay,
flood
gotcha,
maps.
gotcha.
So, to get back to this, do we want to take a vote on this, or?
You don't have to, if the board really doesn't want to do it or does, I guess.
Well, I mean,
Up to you, Craig. If it requires a vote.
well, I'm asking opinions on the board here.
I don't want it. I
That's
think
clear.
that building
Well,
permit is fine, and the inventory, keep it up.
I mean,
You gotta put what you know, like when I rent out, you gotta have who's living there, their age, the whole thing, which is not a big deal. And I have a fairly good stack of those, I think, so.
They've only had one inquiry about this,
More than one.
more than one.
Usually when I assess the penalties, when I hear more about it.
Oh, for not
Well,
filling out
'cause-
the inventory?
Yeah, 'cause-
Oh, well, so they're not filling it out.
Well, and I've also heard from a couple other people that they would like it. But it's up to the town, it's not up to me. And I said I would bring it before the planning board, and see what you
So if
wanted
you
to
get
do.
10 people out of the whole town that's whining about it, that's not enough,
No, that's,
right?
I've been there and
You,
done that.
does that bother you, Paul,
It
to
doesn't bother
fill?
me a bit. If it
No,
ain't broke,
you,
don't
Mama?
fix it.
No,
I don't have a strong opinion.
So that will be a big no building code.
As far as I'm concerned, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's how I look at it too.
All right.
Starts
If you got
running you
one or two
over, and then you
people that are
gotta do
complaining,
something
Now,
about it.
that person that you mentioned, they must have got something in the mail on the know that they had to pay that penalty.
Right.
I send them. They're
Yep.
never happy with me. Believe me,
I bet.
But that's
they're never happy with me.
No,
the
don't
way
have
it
to.
goes,
Yeah,
right?
it is.
That's the way it goes. It says right there, black and white. It's the way it is.
okay, so
And now we're moving on to,
we're now moving on to approval of the draft minutes.
did we do code enforcement? I do have stuff on code enforcement.
Well, I thought that's what we're talking about.
No, that was building code. That was the last thing of zoning
Oh,
changes.
oh,
right, tell us
oh,
about code
Code
enforcement.
enforcement.
So this is the letter we requested for Mr. DeBello. I've already had the select board sign it. And this is the one stating he's not gonna get any further permits until he gets his driveway approved by the state.
And so you need us to sign this one?
Correct, because I'm
Okay.
having both the select board and the planning board sign it. Because that's pretty final. Because we have
Yeah.
the two people that give permits, or the two boards that give permits. And then I've also heard another complaint, and I think I've already discussed this one with Paul, and whether the board wants to refer it to the select board or.
So we need to sign this.
Yeah, just sign on the planning board side.
I'll go down. I'm gonna let you go up ahead.
Oh, I don't have to sign it twice, he said.
Yeah,
Told me I
no,
you
she
didn't.
doesn't have to sign it twice. She's already signed it.
Oh, good.
for the select
So
I don't like
what's-
signing this
what's
stuff, to
the,
be honest with you,
What's
but-
the other
Me
issue?
neither. You're
I
gonna
have
do it
received
again.
complaints that there is a legal driveway on Bridge House Road. And I've even got a little map.
Wait,
Well, sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
wait, that's,
Pearson's.
yeah. That's, I thought that road was, I thought that was not a legal
I
road.
think that's a town road.
It is a town
Oh,
road.
okay.
It is a town road.
Yeah.
And so that's the question. And I've talked to the road agent about it. He says it's there. I've talked to Paul about it. Did you ever get a chance to go up and
I haven't
look?
been up again since we talked, no.
But you weren't sure if it was.
I gotta go up and take a look and see what it is.
So let me
My
ask you
first
a
trip up there
question.
didn't tell me that there was a driveway.
Right,
So there was, always has been 2 entries.
but now there's 3.
Okay, I don't know about the third one.
That's what I was told. There's a 3rd one. And I don't go up there, so I don't know.
Wait, a third one on Guy Board Hill, not on?
No, on,
On-
Bridge Hill, Bridge
Yeah,
House.
sorry.
Right.
And it's in,
That's the road that we go up the snow, that's right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Except there used to be a tree there, and now there's a driveway there. So I haven't gone up to look at it. I received an anonymous complaint about it. So
And then did Emmett go look?
Emmett says there is one there.
So there, he says, that
He says there's
he's
3.
verifying that there's 3.
There's 3. And Paul wasn't sure. So my question is, does the board want to refer it to the select board for enforcement or do more research?
well, Paul's our driveway guy, so I think,
We, talked about revoking his subdivision.
That is in the bottom part there, which it says if he doesn't do something, because I think that's the most extreme thing we could do. And I don't think that would be easy to do in the first place.
This here.
Yeah, we're not,
Right, right,
yeah,
yeah,
we were up there and then we moved back here, now we're back,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think at the end of the day, what, this is just because we need him to figure it
Do
out with
his
the
thing.
state. He needs to figure it out with the
Do his
state,
thing.
Figure
then
it
we
out.
can do our job,
And if he
right?
doesn't do anything
Right.
within the period of time, we could look into revoking the subdivision. You could look into, for example, what the attorney said, putting something in the title search that says that this lot is incapable of getting a state driveway permit, so whoever went to buy it in the future would see that clear and easy. There were other things we could do, but ideally, he can work it out with the state,
And then we'll be good to
and then
go.
we'll be good to go.
That's right.
Why does he do that?
Well, we're giving a little, well, because remember, they weren't getting back to him. That's what we were told, and until we sent the letter,
And then the state came back and said it's our fault that he's denied because we asked him about it, so.
whatever,
Whatever.
we got the, oh, I won't say because I'm on camera, what, we got the facts out.
Right.
How's that?
We got
We
the
now
facts
know
out.
that he wasn't really actually ever approved. Though, not that we thought he was, but remember, they weren't getting back to him. So now we can move forward to one direction or
Correct,
another.
and this just basically says nothing more.
Get it
to
figured out with the state and then we'll do our thing.
do our thing. Though he was
I didn't see
putting,
you in there,
utility
okay.
lines out to the back this morning through that
For
driveway.
the access.
So that's gonna make it more difficult if he isn't able to get one, eventually he's told he's gotta.
Further
close
action may
it.
be taken, yeah, it doesn't say
I
specifically
mean,
what that
with the
is.
utility,
but-
you're gonna go the most direct route, because it's
Right.
gonna save you money,
Yeah.
so, and I don't
Right.
think you have to have a driveway permit for that, do you?
I'm not sure, but it's going around the driveway.
Well, Judd, I was gonna
I mean, I
say,
guess they could close it and let the wires go over the brick wall, or the rock wall if he had to put it back, but.
Yeah,
as
And
you,
done that.
as you drive by, you can see clearly that traffic has come out there, because
Yep.
there's, tracks on the road of dust, you can see
Right.
that somebody's come.
Well, I don't think we're saying that he's
No,
not
he's
using
there.
it, he's using it.
He's
It's just
using
the
it.
fact that we told him, based on if the
Oh, yeah.
state gave him a permit and but yet they weren't communicating, so our little bit of
Right.
shove got some, I'm gonna say shit
Communication.
out of the buckwheat, okay? That's what I really wanna say, all right?
Well, works for me.
Yeah,
Um,
gotta get after it or you're done. That's-
So we're gonna wait on the other issue until Paul's had a chance to look.
Unless Paul's okay with moving it forward to the select board level.
which one?
Here's the Bridge Hills.
Bridge Hill.
Bridge House.
Okay,
What do you want to do, Paul, is what we're asking you.
I'll go look at it again, but I just can't tell you when. Sometime between now and the next meeting.
Okay. I think that's good.
I'm almost done at the fair booth, and this building's coming down, and within a couple of weeks, the building's coming down, so then I'll be done.
All right. That works for me.
That's
We
where I
are-
spend all my waking hours.
Oh, at the fairgrounds? Oh,
What building?
Mm,
The Webster
There's a lot
Church
of
did.
shame stuff going on down there.
yeah,
Can't find anybody to man it, nobody to run it, so
it's coming
it's
down.
coming down.
too
That's too
bad.
bad.
That is very too bad. Okay.
So if anybody's got something that they might want out of that, I wouldn't wait too much longer, because it's going out of there as junk. Got the stove down there, and we got a couple of good-sized griddles.
Boy, it's a shame that nobody would.
Yep, well, we got rid of 2 of them, we still got 2 more.
Yeah,
Then we got a nice, great big glass door refrigerator.
I don't know if they want that at town hall.
Well, I was kinda thinking that'd be a good place for a place of that small one, but
Yeah.
that got Budweiser stickers on it?
no.
No?
Well, sir,
Don't want it then. No, just kidding.
I think it says Snapple on it, but I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't drink tea. No, anyways.
there's certain-
What else is there? Are there tables? and
Starts
stuff
with
like
log
that? It's just
Well,
basically
we have
kitchen.
2 picnic tables.
Twisted tea.
Twisted.
It's basically kitchen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I prefer the hard liquor though.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna move on to
He
item
wants to
number
get us
8.
out here within an hour.
Approval
so
of
good.
draft
We are,
minutes.
Well, we could stall him.
Don't listen.
We're getting a revolt here.
I have new business. We can get to
Okay,
that
yeah.
part too.
What, do we want?
Come on, let's approve the
Let's
Let's
minutes.
do the minutes first.
yeah,
Did anybody
I can't
find-
motion, I can't move it because I wasn't here.
No, because we were just in another country.
Yeah.
Jealous.
Absolutely.
I'm all
I
good
have
with
read
that.
the meetings, all the minutes all the way through, and I don't have a problem with it.
So why don't
So
you
have I.
move?
You too, Ross?
We don't
Well,
know.
let's let them,
Fantastic.
let's let them finish reading.
Hey, I can get away with it.
I already read
Planning
them.
board. I can't get them approved as written in select board.
No.
I'm all good.
All right, somebody wanna make a motion here?
I make a motion to accept the minutes of 9/15/2022.
I second the motion, all in
As-
favor? Discussion.
As written.
As written.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, Paul. Thank God he's here.
Yeah. Any discussion? All in favor, say
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain,
Okay,
because I can't speak to their accuracy.
Okay.
Okay, and then I got one little piece of
new business.
There's a voluntary merger, you can't say no, but this is from the Bruce and Catherine Johnson Trust. They had a cabin on one lot, next to their house lot, they took the cabin down, and now they're merging the lots together.
So it's just for information?
More information, and I am going to get my endorsement from the planning board, unless you just want me to sign for it. I can do that too.
I don't
Run
see
through that
any.
again, what are they trying to do?
It's a voluntary merger form, I can sign
Yeah,
it,
that's standard, so.
it's standard.
You can
It's-
sign it.
You can't say no to it, but I can sign for it if that's what you prefer.
Sure.
But I brought it
Yeah,
in, so,
I'll make a motion that we approve this.
oh, you don't need a motion. It's
Second.
just, this is just to tell you that it's happening.
All right,
I know, tradition, that's what Tori said you used to do, so I'm doing it. All right,
Good job.
so I'll sign it and I'll get it out in the mail tomorrow.
okay. Is there any other business from the audience here?
I don't know.
The audience?
I think we scared them off.
We scared them
You
off.
should just come on Mondays.
Are Mondays nice and lively?
Oh,
Sometimes.
they
they
extend for a long time. There's a lot.
So we gonna get a motion to close the meeting?
A motion to close the meeting. I motion to close the meeting.
At what time, 7:28?
Yeah.
I second it. All
Aye.
in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'm gonna go turn the camera off.
Good idea.
Oh, you
Yeah,
got that on?
Because we sometimes forget we're on camera.
I need my couple hours on air, once or twice a week.
So glad I don't ever go watch them.
Oh, I know.